So Detroit Become Human is coming out in a few weeks, and I am looking forward to it. Not because I expect the game itself to be any good, but because the Best Friends playthrough is going to be absolute gold. And honestly, one of the things I was looking forward to was their predictions on it, and although they've done segments on their podcast talking about it, they haven't actually had a segment where they go in depth on their predictions. So...
I finally decided if you want something done right, you ought to do it yourself.
This is going to be my list. I've always liked speculating on trash, kind of like what Red Letter Media has done in the past with the Adam Sandler movies. And in that style, I've got two sets of predictions. One being for more broad, general predictions, some of which have already been confirmed, and one for more specific predictions. So, without further ado... Number 1. Allegories for race, gender, sexuality, etc. At least one of these is definitely happening, and it's going to be hilarious, but I look forward to seeing the other two. Number 2, mental illness allegories. This hasn't exactly been confirmed, but given the focus on defects...
I know it's not your fault. These emotions you're feeling are just errors in your software.
I'm pretty confident it's gonna happen. Number 3, rape or domestic abuse. Again, already sort of confirmed to be happening, and I look forward to seeing just how botched it'll be.
Fucking whore walked out on me for a fucking account!
Number 4, choices not mattering. Because when have they ever? Number 5, souls, spirits, ghosts, or demons. This might seem kinda out there, but he's always found a way to integrate them into his stories in the past, and I sincerely doubt he'd miss an opportunity to talk about robots having souls here. Number 6, unrealistically large apartments. Here it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of how many. I'm gonna say 4. Number 7, noble homeless androids. He did it in Indigo Prophecy and Beyond Two Souls, and a big theme of this game looks to be suffering and being on the streets. At this point, I'm just wondering if Clancy Brown will be playing one of them.
What are you waiting for? Chase it!
Number 8, aliens or otherwise otherworldly monsters. I know David's only put these in one of his games if you don't count Omicron, but I'm curious to see if the spirits in this world will come from a source that's already in our dimension and not from another plane of existence. Which you might be thinking sounds too smart for a David Cage game. And it is! Which brings me to... Number 9, ripping off one of the following. Terminator, RoboCop, Blade Runner, iRobot, AI, and Ex Machina. Specifically the last two. AI has always been the go-to basis for fiction about robots feeling emotions in recent years. And maybe it's a hunch, but I think David likes it even more than most.
I'm David! I'm David! I'm David! I'm special! I'm unique! I'm David!
As for Ex Machina, well, I haven't actually seen that one, or any of Alex Garland's films. I should probably fix that. But I just have a hunch. Just a hunch. Number 10, other ripoffs that weren't mentioned above. Again, not a matter of if, just a matter of how many. And now for the more specific predictions. Number 1, there will be at least one lesbian android or human, but exactly 0 gay males. I'm never one to get hung up on representation, but considering that the overwhelming theme of this game is fighting for your rights, and that that's a hot-button issue these days, and that David Cage has managed to pray the gay away from all of his games, including the one where Ellen Page was the lead, I figure he'll do just the bare minimum. Number 2, there will be a transgender android who has a harsh negative reaction to being referred to as it. Again, hot button issue, Cage has no idea how to handle it, and I look forward to seeing if it'll be any worse than Mass Effect Andromeda's way of handling it. Number 3, there will be a dance sequence with an android dancing and looking awkward. This time there will be an excuse for them being stiff. Number 4, there will be an awkward human on android sex scene. This time there will be an excuse for them being stiff. Number 5, painting the police in an ambiguous moral light, but ultimately showing them all as bumbling idiots. This is something that David has done in all of his games. He ultimately makes the police totally useless, and the hero has to do everything on their own, but he also never shows them as being totally corrupt or totally dignified, just standard idiots, really. Which is a stark contrast to number 6, painting the army as all being inhuman assholes, with a scene of many of them dying, then immediately being forgotten. This one might seem out of left field, but considering all the protests that have been shown, I'm going to assume that the army comes in at some point, and David has only shown the army twice in the past. One is a scene of Ellen Page murdering dozens of them and threatening to kill even more, then being totally forgiven by the government later. And the other is...
Don't move or I'll shoot.
He's a fucking little kid.
I don't have high hopes. Number 7. The ending will involve a "the fight goes on" monologue, likely being from one of the main robots, hinting at a potential sequel that will never happen. This has happened in 2 of his other games, and I fully expect it to happen here. Number 8. There will be a twist revealing that this is all a simulation, either from a megacorporation testing the consequences of sentient androids, or a meta-narrative of someone playing a video game. David isn't smart enough to do the first, nor is he subtle enough to do the second, but he just might be enough of a hack to do both. Number 9. The game will be approximately 10 hours long. This might seem a little short considering the length of his other games, but considering how much of an emphasis there seems to be on replayability, although granted the same was said about Heavy Rain leading up to its release, I don't really expect it to be all that long. Longer than Order 1886, but not by much. And number 10. The game will receive somewhere between a 75 and an 85 on review aggregate sites, but the general consensus from game journalists and reviews is that it's ultimately immature. That score prediction might seem a little high, but you have to remember, this is the audience David Cage is appealing to.
Remember that every action has a consequence.
This is who we are dealing with. And as for the reviews, the reason I don't think anyone will be talking about how mature it is because we already had that in the last month. They know they can't do the same song and dance again, unlike David Cage. So that's my list. I'm very curious to see just how accurate I was, and honestly, if it'll be any good. There's always the chance that this'll be the time that total control was wrestled away from David and given to someone who knows what they're doing. But then it wouldn't be a David Cage game. And honestly, I look forward to the hours of entertainment that it'll give me. On YouTube.